Hi, Branden.
What's up, Diana? How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Life is beautiful. Can't complain.
Yeah, we here, right?
That's the key.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show. I have a couple of questions for you. I want to, but first of all, can you introduce yourself and tell people who you are?
Yeah, absolutely, Diane. Happy to do that. So my name's Branden Kumarasamy. I'm the founder of Master Talk. Master Talk is a YouTube channel I started to help the world master the art of communication and public speaking. And I also have a coaching practice for executives and entrepreneurs to become
Really?
top 1% communicators in their industry.
Wow. Nice. Very nice. Okay, so um, first question. How did you recognize there was a need to help people with public speaking?
Absolutely, Diane. So when I was in college slash university, I went to business school, and I did these things called case competitions. Think of it like professional sports, but for nerds. So while other guys my age were playing rugby or basketball or baseball or some other sport you probably wouldn't see me playing, I did presentations competitively, and that's how I learned how to speak.
Really?
But but exactly, I know it's weird, but that's how I did it. And then as I got older, I
Okay.
started coaching students who were younger than me to do well at these competitions. And that's how I
Yeah.
learned the art of how to coach other people. And the idea for Master Talk came a few years later because I realized that all of the content that I was teaching the students wasn't available for free on the internet. And
Oh,
that's what led to the YouTube channel.
okay. 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 So you did you just decide at that point, or did you like go on this? What's the word I want to use here? Did you go on this research of it to find out what you need to do, how to do it, or you already had in your mind how you were going to do it and when you were going to start doing
Yeah, so I would say it's a mix of both. So I was in my last semester of college, Dan, and I didn't really have an intention to start a YouTube channel. I had a great job offer at IBM waiting for me
it? Yeah.
in their consulting division. So I had, I'd gotten what I wanted from the case competition program. But a lot of my students asked me a question that triggered the idea for Master Talk, and it was all the same question,
Yeah.
which was, "How did you learn how to speak?" And I said, "Huh, I don't really know." They said, "Well, did you watch YouTube videos? Did you hire a coach? How did you get so good? Did you do Toastmaster?" I said, "I did none of that." They said, "You sure you didn't watch any YouTube videos?" And I said, "People make YouTube videos on communication? I didn't even know."
Yeah.
So I started watching a lot of these YouTube videos, Diane, and I was horrified by what I saw. I was like, all this advice is nonsense. It's theoretical, it's general, it's too academic, and it's
Yeah.
boring. I was like, how can you be a communication coach and not know how to communicate really well?
Right.
So that's what prompted the YouTube channel. So I didn't overthink it too much. I just felt that no one was creating YouTube videos for the younger generations, since most of the people on YouTube are younger,
Yeah.
and the people who are older were making it too complicated than what it is. So that's what led to
So
it.
you saw a need. That's what it was.
Correct.
When you went and looked, you saw it was terrible, and you said, "I've got to do something about this."
Correct.
That's the part I really love. You decided to do something instead of criticizing and not doing anything.
That's what most people do in society, Dad. It's always so easy to point fingers, but it's really hard to take responsibility. Really hard. You know
It's
what
e-
I go
it's
ahead.
easier than not do anything,
Yeah. Exactly. It's easier to just do nothing. And
right?
my perspective is super simple to this. If we all just owned one problem, for me it's communication, for somebody else, and we just owned it, this is the problem I'm supposed to solve in my lifetime, we would get a lot more problems solved in the world.
We'd have a better world too.
100%.
Okay, so public speaking is already difficult. How do you suggest people prepare themselves for heated topics when the conversations get really strong?
Right. So before we get to the strong talk, let's start with the easy wins. So I'm going to argue that communication isn't as difficult as we think it is. I'll tell you why. The reason why we think communication is difficult, Dan, is because the way we were raised makes us believe that communication is something we don't want to do. Think about it. All of the presentations that we used to do when we were kids, that's where we learn it,
Yeah,
is school, right?
right.
But here's the problem, Dan. All of those presentations have three problems. Number one, all of them are mandatory. We don't wake up one morning and say,
Yeah,
"Hey, Diane, Do you want to get breakfast and present all day?
Not.
Hey, not. So that's problem one of three. Second problem, you never get to pick the topic. It's never, hey, Diane, I love your shirt. I love your podcast. I love what you stand for. Do you want
Yeah.
to talk about ranting? Do you want to talk about owning your truth? That's not how the education system works. It's, yeah, you got to talk about Shakespeare. And that's problem number two. And here's problem number three, Dan. Every presentation is tied to a punishment.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. So if you don't do a great job, you get punched in the mouth. You lose 30% of your grade.
Yeah.
I can't even make this stuff up. That's the education system. So is it normal that we see it as difficult? Given
Yeah.
that reality, of course.
When you put it that way, yes, definitely. Okay, so how do you suggest people in heated conversations? Because you got hecklers, you got people who might not agree with you. You got all this going on in your audience. How do you deal with that? As a public speaker?
Right. So we'll get to the hecklers in a second. Let's start with the people who do believe in us. Let's dream about our communication skills, Diane. When was the last time we dreamed about our communication skills? Let me ask a simple question that no one has thought of on this podcast. How would your life change if you were an exceptional communicator? How would your life change if you're an exceptional communicator? When we see communication as a tool for impact, not a tool to hit each other in the face with heated debates,
Yeah.
we can really start to love each other and see the impact we create. Now let's go to your question. What do we do with heated debates? We start the conversation with love. What is the goal of this conversation? Because if the goal of the conversation is unhealthy, then the better medicine is to not have the conversation at
At
all.
all. That's right.
Right? So I'll give you a good example with my mother, right? Simple example. Me and my mother used to argue all the time, all the time. And the reason was because we came from different value systems. She grew up in Sri Lanka, which is a country south of India, and
Yeah.
she moved to a first world country. I was born in a first world country, Canada. So the values are completely different. The Western world is more about do what you want, do what you care about, do what's best for you, focus on your dreams. Whereas Sri Lanka's do what's best for the family, do
Mm.
what's best for the collective.
Yeah.
So we would argue all the time. So how did we fix that? Did I fix this by yelling more? No. I fixed this by dreaming. What do I want my relationship with my mother to look like? Do I want this to be a yell fest for the rest of my life? No.
Right.
So instead, when I realized that the goal was for us to have a happy relationship, we haven't fought in over a decade, I had to change. Which means instead of constantly saying statements, the way that we cool down heated debates is by asking more questions.
Hmm.
Because most of the time, when we're in conversations, Diane, it's statement, 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 statement. Well, I believe this. Well, I believe this. Well, it's my rant and I'm owning it, right? You're kind of just versus going, hey, Diane, why do you believe that? Why is that important to you? And I just asked those questions to my mother and it solved everything.
Oh, that's amazing. So now I've got to ask that question.
Please.
What is your rank?
What is my?
Yes. I think you told me in the beginning.
Yeah. Here's my rant, okay? My rant is super simple. All of us can become exceptional communicators. I don't care who you are, what your background is, what city you grew up in. All of us have the ability to master the art of communication. Except the problem is that most of us don't see it as a way to amplify our dreams. So we need to start by reprogramming our minds to see communication as something fun, as something cool, not a chore. And when we think about our goals and our dreams, Diane, and we start relating communication to those goals, we realize that our whole life is communication. It is essential to
Yes.
master it. Go
Yes.
ahead.
No,
And that's
yes,
my
I'm
rant.
agreeing with you.
Yeah, that's the
I'm
rant.
agreeing with you. Yes. We have to see what is that phrase? Um I see if I see things differently, things will be different. Or if I see change, I can't think of it verbatim, but
I
it's
love
a
that.
saying that goes with that. If you think differently, things will look different. That's it. If you think different, things will look different. So that's the way communication is. Because for me, it has been a chore. I speak a lot. It has been a chore, but on the other hand, I love it because that's how I communicate. I get people to understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And that's the only way I could do it is through communication.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a way for us to amplify your dreams.
Yes.
Whatever the dream is. If you want to be the best mom in the world, go be the best mom. If
Yeah.
you want to be the best baker in the world, go be the best baker. Or if you want to be a superstar like Dan and do all these cool interviews, go be a superstar like Dan. But the point is, realize that communication affects all of those goals.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it doesn't necessarily mean you need to hire a coach either, but it does mean that you need to take it more seriously
Right.
because it helps you lead a more fulfilling life. And that's my rant.
Wow. I love it. I love it. I've got to have you back on because we need to talk more. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining the show. Thank you. Is there any how do we get in contact with you? How does the listener know how to get in contact with you? What's
Absolutely,
your
Dan.
YouTube channel?
Of course, such a pleasure to be on your show. Thanks for having me. So, two easy ways to keep in touch. Number one, check out my YouTube channel, Master Talk, where
Okay.
you can learn free concepts, tips around communication, hundreds of videos available for free. And the second way to keep in touch is to join one of my live sessions over Zoom on communication that we have every few weeks. And you can simply go to rockstarcommunicator.com to register for our next free training.
Rockstarcommunicator.com. Oh, yeah, I like that.
So we got
All
lucky
right.
the euro.
All right. Thank you again so much, Branden.
Thank you so much, Dan. Such a pleasure.
Enjoy your evening.
You too. Take care.